parang is a Christmas custom which opens a season of community festivities on the Caribbean islands of Trinidad and Tobago. Parang begins in late September and continues until January 6th, the Epiphany. This tradition, first begun by the Spanish, is one that's been preciously preserved by the men and women of the islands as they all look forward to the Yuletide season and parang. Producer Vaughn Martin looks at this Caribbean Christmas celebration, its music, its development and feelings, in this edition of Horizons. Merry Christmas, parang style.
Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noël, Merry Christmas. Regardless of the various languages, the words herald the same event, the birth of Christ. We in Trinidad do it with parang. Parang is a musical tradition practiced around Christmas time in Trinidad, the southernmost of all the Caribbean islands, which is justifiably known as the birthplace of calypso and steel band. It shares with New Orleans and Brazil the reputation of staging one of the most lavish and spectacular costumed carnivals each year right after the Christmas season. This music form, originally known as parranda, was brought to Trinidad approximately 400 years ago by the Capuchin monks. These monks were the first Roman Catholic missionaries to arrive in the country. In neighboring Venezuela, it is still known as parranda, but because of the different dialects in Trinidad, the name was changed from parranda to paran, and finally to parang. The desire of the Capuchin monks to win converts for the church and to ensure that the handful of Spanish settlers then in Trinidad maintained the faith led to teaching the life of Christ according to the Spanish Catholic tradition. They taught all the major events of his life through song. The songs began with the Annunciation and Visitation and ended with the Passion and Crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Gradually, the teaching system changed, and only the joyful events of the life of Christ were observed. These joyful events are today celebrated in parang. Today, parang is a way of life. It's a ritual, a celebration. There is a certain form that goes with it. The singers of parang are called parranderos. They serenade your home, singing to you in local Spanish and English, greeting you, asking you to let them enter your homes, communicating with you through music. They come with their stringed instruments and encourage you to get up, wake up, levanta, the Christ child is here. It is past midnight, early Christmas morn. The house is in darkness. Footsteps are heard on the gravel outside the window. The strings are being picked on the cuatro and guitar. Voices can be heard, louder and louder, as they begin to blend in harmony. The music comes to the fore as they sing out loud, Serenal, Serenal.
Ese es San Terreno, mejita de la madrugada. Ese es San Terreno de la madrugada. Corona, corona, corona de pina.
Ma, Pa, they're here. They're here. It's parang.
Para coronar la Santa Divina. Nato Jesucristo, pobre sin pecado. Nato Jesucristo, pobre sin pecado. Rey de los reyes.
The door is opened, and lights are turned on, and the parranderos walk in, singing the story of Christ, bringing joy to this home. Frank Scott is among them. He is from a village called Gasparillo in South Trinidad. He is of Spanish descent, and he remembers the joy of parang.
Parang is meaningful to Trinidadians. It's very meaningful. I think it's a psychological boost. Is one of real joy, and they try to perhaps reflect the happiness with other people by bringing the parang. The parang is singing. It's like the people who go house to house singing carols. Okay, hark the herald angels sing. Okay, get up, get up. This is time to celebrate. That's what parang is all about. Levanta, levanta, you know. And they tell you to get up, and they tell you stories about what happened, you know, from the time Jesus was born for the time he died. And they sing it, and it's authentic.
Parang can be very infectious with its rhythm and merrymaking atmosphere. Everyone becomes involved. They dance, sing, eat and drink. People prepare food, decorate their houses, and they patiently await the arrival of their serenaders during the holiday season. Walter was the lead singer in Olive Walk's La Petite Musicale, a group which is famous for singing folk songs and parang music in Trinidad and Tobago. Walter remembers the involvement of the parranderos as they once visited his home.
Preparation is informal. The inevitable booze, you know, and the food and refreshments, and everybody joins in. Everybody does something. It's a total involvement thing. Nobody escapes. Nobody, and you can't escape. That you're forced to because of the rhythm and the beat and the joyousness of the whole occasion. It's really infectious that way, and no matter where you are, who you are, what tradition you derive from, or what nationality, when you hear that, it infects you, and it leaves a lasting impression. You want to hear more and more.
Parang and good food go together. Every parrandero knows it. As we are in the house with our friends, we show gratitude, according to tradition, by setting a long table with a variety of colorful and tasty foods. Marjorie Robinson was always anxious for her friends to dig in. She recalls how she responded to her guests.
Well, certainly that was the best part of it, getting the food ready when they had to be there. Well, of course, that was, you had your traditional peas and rice. The ham that once the guys had their drinks that they always had a bit of salt ham. And we had the traditional pastel that most homes prepare, especially at Christmas time. And this pastel is done it's a pastry of cornmeal pastry with meats and olives and all fine seasonings. And the best of it is that it had to be steamed in the banana leaf. Pastel without banana leaf is no pastel.
People look forward to parang. They look forward to showing their special guests a good time. It is customary that parranderos are never turned down or turned away. Marjorie Robinson.
You looked forward to it. If they didn't arrive there sometime over the Christmas, between Christmas Eve or morning, I think you felt that part of your life was left out.
At the end of World War II, parang was a way of life only in the villages where strong Spanish influence was evident. For example, a small village called Lopino is considered to be the home of parrang, and it is an ideal place to be now at Christmas time, and we have friends there. Martin Gomez lives in Lopino. He is a born parrandero and was raised in the tradition.
What is unique about Lupino with the parang is the only village you find house to house traditional parang, while outside the parang is more on a commercial basis. When they finish with their competition, they play no more parang again until next year or something like that. You understand? Yeah. But Lupino at Christmas Day or the week before Christmas is every day, every night is parang.
Lopino is unique in more ways than one. It is a beautiful village nestled in a lush valley, overshadowed by the mountains of the northern range. There are approximately 500 residents, including the elders and children. People in this area are Catholic, mainly of Hispanic descent, with some African, East Indian, and French ancestry. Life revolves around the church and religious festivals. Christmas is the main event and is celebrated by the young and old parranderos serenading from house to house. Martin tells us about the gift of Lopino.
We have 3 generations of parang in Lopino. We are gifted that we can make our own Spanish instruments right here in Lopino of local wood and so on. And we have, as I said, 3 generations of parang with first like Papagun, legendary parang who was still living, Sylvester Guerrero, man born like in 1894 and still going strong and making parang. And then we have the middle section between 40 and 60. And we have the very little children from 5 years up who have still continued the tradition of parang.
The musicians of Lopino enthusiastically serenade in all-night sessions. They sing, laugh, dance, and play their own homemade instruments. They have had no formal music training, and their instruments are rustic. Martin Gomez, who has made such instruments himself, tells us about the parang instruments.
It's a combination of what we call the cuatro. It's one of the main instruments. The bandol, it's an 8-string instrument again, but used for special tunes in the parang, or mandolin. Then we have the guitar. The violin was introduced, but then we have the mandolin, and there's a rare piece of music or traditional piece of music that has only been played by the people of Lopino. No other parang groups in Trinidad are playing it. But we understand some Latin American countries has it. It is called a tiple, but it's very traditional, it's very old and so on. Then we have the maracas or the shak-shak, and you use, well, the furuku, box bass and all these sort of things, right? The tok-tok and so on. These are the instruments used in parang. Now, I'm going to demonstrate one of the locally made cuatro that I said that Lopino make their own music. And I'd like you to hear what it sounds like, you know. Just
In Lopino, the musicians get together to write the lyrics for the music and then memorize it.
First, we think about Jesus. We are announcing that Jesus is coming and so on. And you get the people who really read the Bible, like the old Spaniards who have the old Spanish Bible, and they compose the tunes for the younger ones. And then we get into the lyrics and the forming of the tune itself. So we compose, actually we are composing our own tune, all right? Now, most of us really cannot read music, so we play music by ear.
Somos caminantes, debemos de andar. Somos caminantes, debemos de andar.
Walter Robinson, a singer, remembers the late Olive Walk as the first musician to take the old parang tunes, write the music, and present it on stage.
Well, if you consider that when parang actually began, and in the circumstances in which it was first done, nobody knew or had any formal education in music. So it was just spontaneous. And whatever came out of it is whatever they brought into it. And it sometimes was something personal, a man's personal feeling about the songs and his own style, so to speak. Much later on, when, for instance, Olive Walk came on the scene with a parade, she began to put into music the tunes we picked up. She wrote the music for them so that we could learn them perhaps easier and spread it around a little further. But in the inception, there was no formal music written on Paran at all.
Olive Walk's La Petite Musicale signaled change in the development of parang. The lifestyle of yesteryear was almost gone forever, and the overwhelming influences of North America and other foreign cultures threatened the existence of parang in the early 60s. The majority of nationals of Trinidad and Tobago began to favor calypso and steel band music more than parang, and only a few dedicated old-timers preserved parang. 88-year-old Sylvester Guerrero has intense feelings about how parang should be performed.
I wanted them to make parran as I know parran. Today as they're making parran. This is not parran. I knew parran in 1900. Was cuatro, and I have a bandol there too. And bandol, and shak, marac. That was the parran. Was not this amplifier, this violin, this. No. Parran in those days. A bandol, cuatro, and marac, shak.
Media personality Holly Bitodia of Trinidad became concerned that parang music would become extinct and launched a great parang revival in 1963. Bitodia and Leo de Leon, then of Trinidad's national radio station, began organizing parang groups again and encouraged these groups to establish and join associations like the National Parang Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Instead of house visits, public concerts and competitions were held. This led to the development of excellent semi-professional singers and musicians, some of whom have produced best-selling records and albums. Frank Scott, a former lead singer with La Libertar Parang Group, feels that although parang remains great, competition is not very good.
I think that the competition creates some hardships in local parang because first of all they had to amplify, the band had to be amplified in order to reach the crowds that attended the shows in Arima, for instance, the big great show in Woodford Square. So when you amplify parang, then you get away, you put electronic into the instrument, then you take away the originality, you take away that finger, that natural fingers, the sense of the finger strumming on the guitar or the cuatro, right? So not only that, they get into more prescribed type of music instead of original type beat by the local groups, and they no longer go house to house with the competition, but they get into the square, the public parks, and because it's hard to fit a band in a local home, and you have a big band, so they lose the personal touch. But the impact is just as great. The impact is just as great. Where we meet the people in the country, right? In Mamoral and Moruga, Arima, Lopino, like Santa Cruz, we still small groups go house to house. Parang is great. There's nothing like it.
Martin Gomez, another parrandero, seemed enthusiastic about the competitions.
We'll see around 1969, the first parang competition was held to revise the Spanish culture, because after a while, the competition or the singing of the parang was only centered just before Christmas. And it was the idea of the people that parang should be all year round. So they started with competitions, and the Spanish villages in Trinidad, each village would send one or two Like Lopino, we had about 3 serenading groups that went to participate in this competition. In 1977, the young group, which is called the Los Amigos Parang Group, won the island-wide competition. But then we have the smaller one who participate, as I said. But we have more than 100, I will say, parang groups, which are very enthusiastic in the music itself. And every year we start at September, October. This is the sort of interest that really brings back the parang.
Sylvester Guerrero, the old parrandero, recalls how strict his old friend Bathol was if you did not sing true parang.
Now, if you used to go as a fellow like Bathol, and you come in there and you're singing Navidad, which we call Nativity, and you're singing some other nonsense. You don't open this door at all. Nah, Bathol will Bathol, no? Yeah. If you come here for Christmas at his house, you had to sing on the birth of Christ. And if you come for New Year, you have to sing on New Year, on your Nuevo. And if you come in to sing about, if you come, what we call Lewa, with Epiphany, about the 3 wise men and all, you have to sing on that for ye.
Parang's resurgence among the youth is very evident today as more groups continue to form. Guerrero's wish to have parang stay as it did in the old days is a difficult one. As time goes by, so do men. Although originally parang musicians and singers were principally male, today parranderos are members of either sex. And 2 women in particular, the late Gloria Alcazar of San Jose Serenadas, along with Daisy Voisin of La Divina Pastora of Siparia in South Trinidad, have emerged as being among the best in the field. The Great Parang Revival has helped foster a new breed of musicians. Organizers of parties and dances have discovered that the parang musicians with their stringed and rhythm instruments are able to inspire dancing even among the steel band and calypso music lovers. Hollis Lashley, a young parrandero, says it's difficult today to separate parang from calypso.
You cannot separate parang from calypso. The fact is that many of us are accustomed to the calypso form, and if you listen to parang nowadays, you can see that more and more it is becoming a whole part of the parang expression, the parang celebration. So while we have to admit that this has its influence in the Spanish origin of our ancestors, and while we would want to cause parang associations to flourish in the country, what should be borne in mind is that this is part and parcel of a larger cultural melting pot. And as long as we keep this focus, I think we would be doing something positive for the parang form itself and for the whole image of the country insofar as its culture is concerned.
I took the role of lead singer, parang rama in a rima. Fans heard of my parang band, 2000 struck the grandstand. The welcome was the MC when he introduced me. People jumping like carnival to my rendition of Serenal.
In very many instances, we tend to concentrate on our African origins. But we have to understand that in the transition from Africa to where we are today, there are lots of other influences that have come into play. For example, the French and the Spanish influence, and we tend to overlook it depending on the particular art form we are speaking about. For it serves as a focal point to remind us of this heritage and to show how it has been interwoven in our whole cultural complex that we boast in Trinidad and Tobago in particular.
Although a lot has transpired over the years to change, tradition is still adhered to. We make music and merriment. We sing songs of the birth of Christ. visit our friends, eat ham, chicken, even pastels. Marjorie Robinson still has a party every year around Christmas.
Every Christmas, I have a Christmas party 2 weeks before Christmas, which is the beginning of our way of starting it. My friends all look forward to meeting one another. We've had friends coming from America even to attend our little party. And that begins, Then we go right on to Christmas Day morning or around Christmas lunchtime. The phone starts ringing and they start arranging. Where are we going tonight? Where are we starting?
And Walter, her husband, brings out his best bottles of rum.
People still, as far as I know, continue the tradition. I still do. Now, I might happen to be the only person in my community who knows the actual Spanish songs, but that doesn't deter us at all. We use any song, calypsos, any folk songs, even religious songs, that have to do with the birth of Christ and so on. And we put all those into our parranda, and we do go from house to house.
In my heart is joy. Music is in my soul. Parang is here to stay. Frank Scott.
The greetings that you get for Christmas. Everybody look forward to seeing you. And it's nothing like celebrating the birth of Christ. There's no substitute for that. So in that light, I think Parang has filled its place and has filled his place in the life of Trinidadians, and whoever enjoy the Parang, I think they find satisfaction, and they couldn't have filled anywhere else.
These celebrations of Parang are unique expressions of brotherhood and caring. The thirst brought on with Parang music is indeed quenched. There is laughter and a touching of hands to show that the message was relayed and understood. Parang does not stop here. There are many more homes to visit, many more doors to be opened, and many more souls to breathe it into. Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, Merry Christmas, Parang style. The best of the season to you.
Merry Christmas, Parang Style, was written, produced, and narrated by Vaughn Martin.